it going? How's it going, as Luke likes to say? We're back. I was away for a little while. I was in England doing some stuff, watching some games, doing a little work and whatnot. We're back. My guy at Plus Money will be on in a couple minutes. We're going to be talking a little bit of football. New time slot for us. We're going to be 11 to 12 every day during the day. Thursdays, going to try to figure it out. Might be AM Plus Money on his own, maybe. I don't know. We're going to try to figure that one out. He doesn't know that yet, but maybe we'll tell him. So, listen, before we start here, I got to welcome our sponsor, Caesar Sportsbook, free bet insurance. Free bet instance. I got to change that real quickly. Let's hold on. And let's see if I can edit this. Insurance. Save. Let's go. Free bet insurance up to, maybe we won't scroll that. I think we'll just do it here so you can see it. Free bet insurance up to $12.50. First-time users, download the app today. Please check your state's age limit. Please bet responsibly. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. All that stuff. Plus Money is back. We're back. Different time slot. We're all over the place here. We're going to figure that maybe we'll go into the day. We're going to go into the other Sean's show, but instead of maybe, always talking about the next day's events like we were doing earlier, maybe it would be better to come on here and say, hey, listen, let's talk about today's events. So we made the switch to 11 to 12 now, and I think it's probably going to be better because now we can talk about everything for the next day. I don't know if that, or everything for the day today and everything for the next day in the morning as well. So Fridays we can talk about, Premier League or whatever we're going to talk about. So how you doing over there?
Oh, it's good to be back, man. You've been gone so long that I was able to grow my beard back, but we're back.
I know. I don't even remember the last time we did a show. I was I was in England doing some work and going to some matches, and Manchester United sucked back then, but now they're good again because Eric Ten Hag made sure he tanked the first couple games for the greater good. I'm always one that is big on the greater good, so he had the foresight to look at that. What do you think about the games this weekend?
It was definitely interesting. I thought I had a lot of bad beats with some of the scores. I know I was on Newcastle. They had a goal taken away from them.
That was terrible. And Newcastle and West Ham, and they came out and apologized. But that's
And if you watch the Man City game, even Aston Villa won that game 2-1. And they called Aston Villa's second goal offside when it was very clearly onside, but they blew it dead anyway. And by then it was too late. And it was one of the nastiest goals I've ever seen. He hit like the crossbar and bounced down and in, or off the post and in from outside the box.
They took away the Brighton goal like that on Sunday morning. I mean, he's not I understand he tried to do it, but he's not really involved in the play. I mean, these decisions where the lines are like this. I know they changed the rule this year, so it's not, if the lines are touching, it's onside, even if the guy last year, I know Marcus Rashford scored a goal last week, I think, that would have been offside, but it was onside this week, this year, but. This is ridiculous. I mean, there's got to be I know if you said it was a yard, someone would say 2 yards or whatever, but they got this stuff with this technology where it's like this and there's nothing between the lines. I mean, it's ridiculous. You got to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, and also I think Aston Villa was just screwed by the linesman because he should have kept the flag down, and instead he put it up. They
Yeah,
blew
they're
the
taught to
whistle.
do that too. I mean, usually they're pretty good about that stuff, but like, I mean, you can't put the line, you can't put the flag up. You cannot put the flag up.
Yeah, so I don't know. They definitely have problems to fix, but every sport's got their problem. Football, we don't know what a catch is. Soccer, we don't know what an offside is.
I bet some games. Like I had some picks for college football. I mean, it's like, I mean, I just don't. This is your thing. Hey man, give me some picks for the first week. I don't know who's any good. I can't tell you. I don't. These teams could be very good. They could be very bad. I don't know. And you end up getting burned on these plays because you don't know. I think that's the thing with we're gonna look at the Champions League for tomorrow, and then Copa Libertadores semifinals tomorrow. But when these teams are playing, they've been playing for now a month. So there's a little bit of a we have a track record for most of these teams now. All the teams have been playing for at least a month. I mean, some of them, some of the teams in the Europa and the Europa Conference League have been playing for a month and a half. So 2 months here now. So I think we have a little bit more of a kind of a track record here to look at some of this stuff. Are you excited for these for the Copa Libertadores games here?
Yep. Well, so far, one of my predictions is coming true. I believe I said, actually, I think it was a while ago on the show too, because I know I wrote an article about it as well. But on the show, like months ago, before this, the semifinals or even the quarterfinals started, I said, take Flamengo at the even money to make the finals. And here we are sitting in the second leg of the semis with a 4-0 lead. Flamengo's going to be there. So definitely excited about that one. I'm interested to see what happens with Palmeiras, though, because they're down 1-0 to Atletico PR. I know they're at home for this leg, but man, Atletico PR, they're almost like a Flamengo. They go out there, they try to win every single game. Even on the weekend, they went out there and won again, knowing they had to go on the road and play a strong Palmeiras team. But I don't know about Palmeiras. They haven't been looking great lately. They're starting to slip in the table as well. I'm surprised Flamengo didn't capitalize on their chance yesterday. They had a chance to really cut down Palmeiras' lead to 5 points if they get a win over Sierra, but they couldn't do it. They even played the last 30 minutes with a red up a man because Sierra was given a red card. They couldn't get it done, so disappointing performance from Flamengo there. But I don't expect them to be disappointing on Wednesday, that's for sure.
I'm going to have to look. We got a new sponsor here. We got Caesars, so I'm going to try to find those odds for let me look at the Champions League odds first, though. So the Champions League starts tomorrow, the group stage, which is awesome. Maybe I'll get a chance to watch a couple games now. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, we can, the games are 12:45, and the two windows are 12:45, and Chelsea's playing Zagreb, and Dortmund's playing Copenhagen. I actually like a game in that window, and then there, the 3:00 windows. And then same thing on on Wednesday. There's the two games in the first window, and then the 6 in the second window. So for us, I mean, now we're actually leading up into these games. So we'll be able to see, especially for these the 12:45 kickoffs. And when you look at Europa League. Let me see if these are Europa Leagues, European competition. I think there's a lot of games at 12:45. Yeah. So we're going to be able to see lineups now, which means we're going to be able to say, listen, sometimes we're telling you in the past, hey, bet this team, and we don't know the lineups. Now, for half these games here, Bodo Glimt against PSV Eindhoven, we'll be able to say, hey, listen, PSV's sitting their players, or Manchester United's playing their backups. maybe bet accordingly, which I think is a pretty big advantage to some of the bettors instead of maybe a day out you're not really sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always good to know the lineup. You never know with these games, especially when going on the road, and some of these teams don't even like to bring some of their players. They'll leave them behind. So it's always good. It's always good to know who's starting.
Before we get to the games, actually, I don't know if you have you had a look at the futures bets at all for the for the Champions League. Manchester City plus 250, Liverpool plus 500, PSG plus 550. Bayern Munich, I haven't really been impressed with this year so far in the league. I mean, every time I look, they're blowing my parlays at plus 600, Real Madrid plus 900, Barcelona. Obviously, I think I don't think Juventus or Inter Milan or I don't know if one of those teams can come from all the way down there and win it, but.
I don't even think Juventus is going to be a top 4 team in Italy. I don't like them. They always lack that goal scorer. They have a strong and deep midfield, but it's not going to help them if they don't have anybody to put it away, and they play super defensively. So they're actually a team I'm super down on this year, even in the league. I think there's better teams than them.
Yeah, it's interesting because you see, in their group, for I think they play Tuesday, correct? They play Tuesday. So Group H, you got Benfica, Haifa, PSG, and Juventus. I think Benfica probably says, "Hey, listen, I think we can get out of this group." The way they've been playing. Juventus could sneak out, but obviously PSG wins that group pretty easily. But for me, just Haaland. If Haaland stays healthy, nobody's beating Manchester City. They're ridiculous. I know Pep has this tendency, but I do I'll say with the caveat, Manchester City, Haaland gets hurt, so. I don't like Liverpool at all at plus 500. I know they're pretty good in the competitions. I would probably look, if I'm trying to look at someone outside of those top 2, I'm looking at probably PSG or Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid at plus 900 offers some decent value, and I won with them last year at plus 1600. So, for you, I think future bets are now. I mean, it doesn't do. You're not really focused on because it's not going to change much before March, right?
Yeah, it's always interesting to do this now because there's going to be so much change, and the top couple teams here are obviously going to stay in it, and they're going to keep going through, and then you're eventually going to get to a point where it's just those teams, and you'll probably be getting around the same odds if you go to bet the futures then as well.
That's people have been asking me about my NFL futures. I said, look, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get you're going to get the Bills at whatever price you're going to get them at. It might be better off waiting, because if the Bills start a little slowly, and you got the Broncos and the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Ravens and the Colts and all these teams, it doesn't matter. They're not; those teams are all going to be there at the end of the season. So these odds they're not going to go to minus 118 or something like this. I mean, they're just going to, you could bet that on week 15 of the season. These games, I think, are the ones where you kind of can make some money.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This the first game on the schedule here, you got Dynamo Zagreb and Chelsea. I just don't know what to think of Chelsea right now.
I'd be worried if I were Chelsea. Dynamo Zagreb's a strong team at home, and they can score goals, and that's something that Chelsea's defense is definitely not what it used to be.
Yeah, it's just they're just a strange team. They're not playing. They snuck a win again. I mean, they're not playing fantastically here. To lay, obviously, handicap bidding here, if you're looking at the minus, the Asian handicap is probably going to be just about even money. But when you start to look at this game, I don't know. I mean, maybe I say I'm going to go to this Parks. I just like this Parks. show the Parks with the Champions League. When you start looking at the Asian lines, it's -1, -125. But double chance. Zagreb's at home. Double chance here, +170. Dynamo Zagreb or draw. I'm not sure what your play would be here, but I mean, do you and the other early game is Dortmund versus Copenhagen. I have no idea about Dortmund, to be honest. They lost so many players, but either of those two games look pretty decent to you.
The Zagreb one interests me just because just like you, I don't know what Chelsea's going to be. I thought at the beginning of the year they were actually going to be decent because I know they lost some defenders, but their attack should be a lot better with Raheem Sterling there. So far, they haven't impressed in the first few matches of the Premier League. And Dynamo Zagreb is a team where not only are they just in great form, yeah, they play much weaker teams, but they're in great form right now. And this is a team, when they play at home, they blow teams out like 4-1, 4-0, 5-1. Like it's not even close how many goals they score. So it's one, again, where Chelsea might not bring a full team. They might be looking ahead to that second leg at home where we could get them, or they might come out and just blow them out here. But I don't really see that happening on the road, especially with the way Zagreb's been playing. I would lean towards the double chance on Zagreb because I don't have faith in this Chelsea team in another country the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with this, too, is, once again, I mean, you get 2 out of the 3 outcomes for +170. Yeah, obviously, Chelsea is a very good team. They're a Premier League team, and sometimes when they go and they play these the Champions League, but Zagreb's a tough place to play. They're playing very well. I'll be very interested to see what goes on with that game because I do, I think there's some value in Zagreb there. I mean, you really, when you start to look at, the way they score goals too, you see the over, -132, which is interesting. But Chelsea's over is -1.5, -175. I think, if you're going to take Zagreb to win or Zagreb win and draw, maybe over 1.5 goals for Zagreb here, +350 is not a bad play there for a little bit of a value play. You go down and look, who's going to score for that? Like, who's going to score for Chelsea? It's been, I guess Aubameyang, he might be out there this weekend. They got him listed here. Havertz is +195. He always comes up with big goals. I would probably say Havertz may be worth a shot at 2-1, but I just don't know. I don't know which Chelsea's going to show up in this game. And then, obviously Chelsea has a game. They play the early game on Saturday against Fulham, who's been actually pretty good. But so, they're not doing them any favors there playing in that early game, although they are playing Tuesday in the early game. So not as big. Any thoughts on this Dortmund-Copenhagen game?
Dortmund's a team where I thought they were going to be bad. They started the season pretty well. And then they had that one game against Werder Bremen where they just collapsed in the 90th minute. That was
the craziest game I've ever seen. I was watching that and I was like, what the hell is going on here? The game was over and then they scored 3 goals. It was so crazy. They actually, they're ahead of Bayern Munich in the standings right now. Or in the
I had Dortmund -1.5 in that game, and I'm going into like the 89th minute thinking, all right, we can put that one in the bank. And before my eyes, they end up losing the game, and it was like, what just happened? Yeah. How do you just collapse for 3 goals against a team that's not good? Werder's not a great team. Like they obviously seem to be playing well right now, but they're not a good quality team. They just came up from the Bundesliga 2 this season, and it's not like I don't expect them to continue at the rate they're going right now. They're going to start losing games eventually.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, Dortmund won 1-0 against Hoffenheim. I was trying to find that game there. Yeah, this is an interesting game to me. Copenhagen, once again, got through the playoffs. I thought they looked pretty good in some of those games, but you're laying minus 300, so 1.5 is about minus 110, minus 115, depending on which book you use.
Copenhagen is personally just a team I hate because every time I take them, they don't show up. They get like blown out 4-1 at home in a league match or something like that. And then when I go against them, all of a sudden they decide, hey, we can win games here, and let's just blow them out while we're at it.
That's how Dortmund is for me. I've stopped betting Dortmund because, especially in the league, because I'll back them in these games. And this is when they had Holland and, they were strong. Obviously they still have Jude Bellingham and some very good players. But, they signed Haller, but then he's out, with cancer. But, every time I play them, I'm like, they're supposed to win and they end up losing. And then you don't play them and they end up winning 5-0 or something like this. It's just a team. I would probably say they should win pretty easily here. The over total goals is 3.5. Wow. The Asian line here, minus 1.5, maybe minus 105, minus 110. That's probably a decent play. They should win pretty easily, but like you said, this is two teams here that just are very frustrating to bet. And, a lot of times with those teams, I try to stay away. Maybe there's a different way you could bet it. But I do try to stay away. And, when you get to the 3:00 games here, these times, by the way, all 3 p.m. kickoffs are Eastern time. If you're watching, I know we got some people watching, all around America and watching over in England and Europe and wherever else they're watching. Poland, I know somebody's watching Poland. Leipzig against Donetsk. Leipzig, minus 450. They just got beat by 4-0 by Eintracht Frankfurt on the weekend. Benfica against Haifa. Haifa looked very good in the playoffs. I thought they did a really good job to get through, and they beat some pretty good teams to get into this group stage. Benfica's been doing pretty well. Sevilla against Manchester City. There's some reports today that Lopetegui is on the hot seat, and Mauricio Pochettino is lined up to take over if Manchester City wins this pretty ugly. Manchester City minus 280 got burned by them on the weekend, but once again, they're not going to lose any games this year. Manchester City
is trash.
Yeah,
they're a trash team. I'm sorry. They're a team they finished in 4th place in the La Liga over the last decade. It's not happening this year. They're not going to make Champions League next year. Their team is so bad. They just lost to newly promoted Almeria at home, on the road, and then they ended up tying with the newly promoted Valladolid at home. Like they're not a good team. This is
they got 1 point from 4. Lopetegui's probably on the way out. City's probably, this is a game where I think Manchester City, Holland's going to, you got to back Holland to score every game. It's at crazy money, but, these are sometimes, when we kind of look at this, does this, man? It goes back to that thing. I'm going to look specifically at multiple goal scorers because goal scorer Holland is going to be minus 200 here.
Oh, he's got more goals in the Premier League this season than 14 other teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's crazy. See, I mean, but when you start looking at, he's minus 162 to score, but he's also plus 335 to score 2 goals or more, which, if you bet that this year, if you bet that in every game this year, you're probably going to end up with, a plus money. Because he just scores so many goals. I know my guy he likes what's his name, Kunku to score for RB Leipzig. Bill, I don't know if Bill's watching here, but we'll check that. But I think in this game, City. to me, City. You got PSG's playing at home against Juventus. I think, some people are still looking at Juventus as, Juventus of old, where PSG should be maybe minus 500 in this game, and they're really only minus 295. Celtic against Real Madrid, AC Milan against Red Bull Salzburg. I think there's actually some decent value in some of these games in the late window. Is that kind of what you see here?
Oh, definitely. Like first of all, the Celtic Real Madrid one you mentioned, like I get Real Madrid's on the road, but there's that, like, they're going to be a 6-0-0 team in the group stage. There's no way that Celtic has the even being at home in Scotland, there's no way Celtic has the talent to even stop this Real Madrid. They've been on a tear ever since that first game they played where they were trailing 1-0 to Almeria and almost came away dropping points, but ended up putting it together in the last 30 minutes. They have just been on a tear, crushing teams. They beat Betis again on the weekend, which Betis is a very, very good team, I think. So that was a good win for them. It was only a 2-1 win, but still, this is a team that's going to go in there. They're going to at least win the game for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. You got them at -1 at -104. I think, for me, when you look at goal scores, I know Benzema's probably going to be -160 or something. Oh, -132. I take that every day. Once again, I mean, he's going to score goals. I mean, you might get a goal from Vinicius or somebody like that, but Benzema is going to get a goal.
He scored he scored like 2 or 3 in one of the other games he just played. I'm not sure if it was against Betis, but it might have been the game before that where they scored 3. He scored 2 of the goals. Like, that's a ridiculous number. I don't know. I don't even know why they would have that. He's like a Haaland. He's their guy. He's gonna score.
Yeah, to me, when I look at this, I mean, I immediately, go on in Washington DC later tonight at 6:00, and I mean, I'm just gonna tell these people, like, listen, when you look at this stuff, you got to look at Benzema, Haaland, Mbappe. These, they score goals in their farmers leagues as well, but they also score. Then they go and they play these teams, like Celtic and whatever. Celtic's actually, Celtic just ran Rangers off the pitch on the weekend, but it's different level. Real Madrid is they played Eintracht Frankfurt a month ago in that Super Cup, and Eintracht Frankfurt was a decent team. They made them look like D-League teams. So very interesting. I like the games that the Benfica here is when you're looking at -530.
It's tough to find value on that game, especially when Haifa has been playing so well. But Benfica has also just been blowing teams out. Like, there's no doubt in my mind they win this game, but I don't know if it's going to be by 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I would probably back Benfica here. This would probably be my play in this game, over 2.5 goals. At -114. It's close to. I mean, you don't hardly see -2.5 or you don't hardly see 2.5 goals for a team total in minus money. So to me, that's gonna give me that's gonna tell me something right away. Usually it's plus money. Benfica's probably gonna score some goals. I would probably rather back that than maybe any kind of -2.
They lost probably one of their biggest pieces from last year, and they still look like they're going to be the best team in Portugal this year by far.
It's interesting to me. The attack might be a little more fluid now because he just the way that Nunez plays. I mean, he needs so much service, and I have my thoughts on Liverpool.
I was just gonna mention them. You took the words out of my mouth. I
have my own
exact problem.
I think he's gonna end up I think Liverpool finishes outside the top 4.
I agree.
I just think everyone for years has been telling me that Salah is the key. Nah. Mane was the key. He was the player. Like, Salah doesn't score against big teams. He never scores in big games. Like, he always just doesn't show up in those games. Mane was the guy. They lose him. They bring in Nunez. And you see some of these players. When I saw, I thought Manchester United was going to get absolutely destroyed by them, and they beat them. And I watched the game, and I'm like, man, this team stinks. Like, they're not like I like Manchester United with their signings now. I think is better than Liverpool, which is crazy. I would have never said that at the beginning of the season. But when you look at the table right now, I would say probably, City, Arsenal, Tottenham, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. I think United could get top 4, which is crazy because I didn't think that before the season either. But I'm down on Chelsea and I'm down on Liverpool right now. I think Arsenal, even though they looked pretty good yesterday, they just got beat on the counter. But I think they should be good.
I thought Arsenal was the better team in that game, and I'm going to continue to think they're one of the best teams. I thought they were going to be one of the better teams in the Premier League coming into the season, and I still think that even after yesterday's 3. But they also had a goal taken away very early in the match. So,
yeah, they I think they're going to be good enough to finish top 4 because they'll beat the bad teams. They need to play better against the better teams. But I think they're better than Liverpool. I think Tottenham is better than Liverpool, and I think Tottenham is better than Chelsea. Despite the way that match, one specific match played out. But it's interesting with these things. But Benfica, getting back to them, I think they're more fluid now because you take this guy who needs, like, people thought him and Haaland were going to be the same. Like they're not the same. Like Haaland can do all this stuff. He's pretty mobile for like a Terminator. He does all this stuff. And then with City's midfield and all those players, like he's gonna get so much chance. Like that's if they would have signed someone like that guy, if they would have signed Haaland 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they would have won the Champions League. And I'm 100% convinced they beat Chelsea in that game. But they probably went last year. Because he adds so much to that team. But Benfica's playing better with him. So maybe I take Benfica over 2.5 team total goals. I like Real Madrid a lot in that game. PSG, they played pretty well on the weekend. I mean, it's just PSG, I think, is one of these teams that could really do damage in this tournament. I think they'll go deep in this tournament. They're just, you never know with them because they're all nuts. There's, they might be getting cursed by a witch doctor, and they might, which is like that whole story is like the craziest story ever. But it's going to be interesting to see if Pogba makes the French team with all the, all that stuff going on.
I'm so down on France after I heard that story. I was like, oh, man, the World Cup. First Benzema, now Pogba, man. Their World Cup team is going to be a mess.
That's what they do, man. Yeah, that's what they do. It's so crazy. Why can't you just be normal? But
they're gonna have to let Benzema back on. Like they're gonna have to do something like that. They gotta let him back on.
Yeah, he was back on before.
Is he back on the team? Okay.
Yeah, he played last year in the thing. So like he's because I actually think I probably would go with Brazil now. Like I talked to someone about this the other day. I mean, I was flip-flopping between Brazil and France. I'd probably lean towards Brazil at this point, but it's because they're just so talented. But France is as well. I mean, they their midfield. They should just leave Pogba out and just bring Tchouaméni and Camavinga. They'll be fine. Just play them. But I do like PSG a little bit. You see -1.5 here is basically even money. So let's see what we got here with this game. A little bit high.
PSG is definitely my favorite to win the tournament. I think when push comes to shove, they could probably beat Man City. Man City's been really good, but I don't like the way they've been playing to start the Premier League season, and they've been giving up a lot of goals. They're going to have to tighten up that defense before I really start to look at them like, okay, this is the Man City team we know so well.
Yeah, definitely. My futures plays in the tournament here are probably going to be on PSG, and I'll throw a little bit on City because if they play
They're stacked.
If they play to their peak, I mean, they should, but they don't. I do think PSG is very good. I think it would be interesting if it was PSG and Real Madrid in the final. It could be the Mbappe derby there in that game. Mbappe here in this game is minus 134 to score. Neymar is plus 102. I think, those are two pretty good plays. I think, what was halftime, full-time PSG is minus 113. Maybe that's a decent play as well. And sometimes when I see the odds, and this is a little bit more of a strategy. If I see the odds, they're minus 300 or close to it, I'll just say halftime, full time, because they're going to win the game. It's just a matter of can they win the first half. And if they're leading,
they've been crushing teams like 7-1, and they're up like 4-0 by halftime in some of these league matches. So
exactly, yeah. That's why sometimes it's not that bad to take halftime and full time, because when you see Asian handicap first half is minus 130. So just for them to win the first half is minus 130. So you're almost better off taking this because they're going to win the game. So if you think so, instead of betting minus 130 for the first half, you bet PSG, minus 113 halftime, full time, because once again, they're going to win the game. And then, you'd say, all right, if they're leading half, so it's basically, if they win the game, it's basically you're betting at minus 113 to win the first half. So that's pretty decent odds right now, considering the way they play in the first half. So, this would probably be a pretty good play. That's something I don't do. Do you do the halftime, full time for NFL games or anything like that? Is that something you kind of translate to there or not? Really?
Not NFL games. I'm more of just like a spread guy, or if I really want to do that, I'll just take maybe like 3 money lines I get because I get an early payout with the book I'm at. So I'll look for, like, if I want to put a parlay together, I'll look for 3 big favorites and try to do it that way, because at least I know they could lose the game, but if they come out and take a 20-point lead right away, then I'm getting paid out no matter what. And I don't care what happens after that.
It's interesting because I'm going to do what is it, DraftKings? I think it's DraftKings. Their promo for the first night is if the team you back takes a 7-point lead, you get paid out. So I like everybody likes the Rams. I like the Bills.
I like the Bills too. Yeah. Everybody likes the Rams. All I'm hearing is Bills, and that scares me. But I think that the
Super Bowl winner is 45-10-1 all time, and they're 9-1 since they moved to this Thursday night game. So they are very good. There's history is against the Bills, but I think at some point they take a 7-point lead. So I will probably back them.
And the great thing about that one is you can come out, score a touchdown in the first drive if the Bills start with the ball, and that's it. You're done. You've cashed.
You don't have to worry about it. I know exactly.
And they actually had that during the NBA Finals, and I took huge advantage of it. I think I maxed it out. I think the max was $250. I put it all on Golden State just on the money line to beat the Celtics. They lost the game, but they led by 20 at one point in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
In the first half,
you have to take. I mean, we tell people, once again, let me just put this up because it's a pretty good deal. Caesar's first time free bet insurance up to $12.50. First time users, download the app today. So, if you throw a bet in and the bet loses, you get up to $12.50. You get it back. If it wins, you keep the money. I always say, take advantage of these promos because around the NFL season, or around the start of the Champions League, or around the start of the baseball playoffs, or whatever it is, they're always doing these deals. And you can, hey, if Garrett Cole throws one strike today, you get $25 or something like this, and it just people are like, all right, or free $10 free bet, whatever it is. Garrett Cole to strike out one batter. Well, it's $10. I'm not turning down $10. If anybody's if these companies are going to throw free money at me, so that's the thing. I mean, a lot of times you can bounce around and you can see these different things given away, some free bets. Are you interested in the Salzburg Milan game at all? And Milan had a huge win on the weekend.
I'm interested in it, not for betting though, because I'm an AC Milan fan and I always stay away from them. I can't. I just can't come to bet on them. They always let me down when I do, and then they end up winning the title. So I don't know. I don't know if I just picked the wrong games with them, but I don't know. Salzburg has not impressed me in their league this year. I don't even know if Salzburg is going to win their Austrian league because honestly, Lask Linz looks really good, and even Sturm Graz is a pretty good team in that league as well. I know they just got kicked out of Conference League, but I don't know. Sorry?
Oh, who got knocked out?
Sturm Graz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Lask Linz, they're not in European competition this year, but they're like undefeated. They just tied 1-1 on the weekend.
I thought Lask Linz got in. Aren't they in something?
No, they're in nothing this year.
They get beat in the playoffs.
But they look so good too. Like I was on them yesterday. They tied 1-1, but they were given a red card in the first 5 minutes of the match, and they still took a 1-0 lead. And ended up blowing it late. But like, what are you going to do when you got to play 80 minutes with down a man? Like, it's going to take a toll on you. And I knew right away, right in the first 10 minutes, I wasn't going to get the -1.5 because even if they won the game, which they almost did, they weren't gonna be able to score 2 unless they got like a penalty or something. But they've been fierce. Other than that one tie, they're undefeated. They think like 5 wins.
Yeah, 5 wins, 2 draws. Yeah, they're right there with Salzburg, and Sturm Graz is right behind them in third. But they're playing very well. It's one of those teams I saw them 3 or 4 years ago now. I saw them in Germany, or I saw them in Portugal play. They're one of these teams, but Salzburg, I don't know.
And that's what worries me. Like Salzburg, they're 6-0-1 at the top of the table right now. But if you look at some of their games, like they're not the same Salzburg team blowing out. Lately, they've been doing it, but to start the season, like a 2-1 win over Wolfsburg there. As you can see, like some of these games, they lost 2-1 to Sturm Graz, which was a match that they probably should have won. So these are the kinds of games that I'm looking at, not like, oh, you blew out a bad team 6-0. That means nothing to me. Like the fact that you're not putting up with the best of the best in your own league, or you're struggling sometimes to beat the smaller teams, worries me when you're going to play a team like AC Milan, which I wasn't sure what they were going to be this year, because they really didn't change their team at all in the transfer window. Like besides losing, Frank Kessie to Barcelona, they did nothing at all. Like if anything, their team should be weaker, and it's the same. It's just the same dominant team, and that's without Ibrahimovic. He's still injured, which just goes to show me the real impact he's had on the team, just personality wise, because when he got there, that team was a mess. And he even came out, I remember, because I'm a big AC Milan fan, I watch all this. He even came out and was after like his first game playing with the team again. He was like, this team has no heart or passion for the game at all. And ever since then, they just turned around. And from what I've seen, they look like another good team this year. They look like they have a shot at that title.
Yeah, Maignan is good. He's very big. I don't know how long he's going to be there. I mean, he's big time keeper. Theo Hernandez is good. They just got Sergio Dest, who's going to help with the attack. Tomori is good. Leao scored 2 goals on the weekend. Giroud obviously is scoring goals. I mean, even when you look at the bench, you got Brahim Diaz coming off the bench, who's very good. Origi, who scored some big goals. So this team is pretty good here, and you're getting them. I like the fact you're getting them at plus 102. I might take a chance on AC Milan in that game. I just think you're going to get a pretty good outcome from that. And then the only other game is Leipzig and Donetsk.
I'm not touching it.
I don't know, man. Like Leipzig -2. I mean, they'll probably win big, but like I'm not. Leipzig's been terrible. I'm not, no interest in that game, to be honest, at all. And then, so that's the Champions League for Tuesday. Then we got the big Copa.
You know what? Just going back to like the futures part of the Champions League, I did want to mention, I kind of like as a dark horse, if you even want to call them that, because I think they're probably going to be one of the better teams in the competition. I like Barcelona at the plus 1,400 right now. I don't know what it is for you, but I'm seeing 1,400 at my book. And I don't know. It's just like I wasn't sure what to make of Barcelona with all the stuff going on, how they're signing all these players but can't afford to pay them. But the fact that they've been able now to basically register all of them, and guys were even willing to take a pay cut just to play for the team, really shows me how badly those players want to be there. And I think they have a very strong intent to win, because after that first game that they tied in La Liga, they've just been smashing teams. They beat a very good defensive Real Sociedad team by like 3-1, I think it was, 3-0, 3-1. They went into Sevilla. Now, I thought yesterday, I watched that game, or was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, yesterday. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. Saturday, I guess it was. I know the game was on Saturday, but today's Monday. So, yeah, when they went into Sevilla, Barcelona won 3-0. Sevilla, I thought, played their best game of the season in that game. They looked terrible against some of the bad teams earlier in the season, but they probably played their best game. They had some chances in that one for sure, and Barcelona still walked all over them. So I think Barcelona is definitely going to be a team to keep an eye out for in Champions League this year.
Yeah, I got them at plus 1,400. I agree. I mean, I think they're plus 1,400. I think they could make a deep. Obviously Lewandowski.
He was toying with Sevilla on Saturday. Like some of the goals he scored, he flipped every time he tried to do the little chip shot over the goalie, and one was blocked, and then Rafinha came in and headed it in. Another time he tried to do that, and he's like just missed the net. Like they were just toying with him at that point.
It's interesting. The two Spanish teams at plus 900 and plus 1,400 definitely offer, to me, more value than Liverpool and Bayern Munich.
Especially when one's the defending champion.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And they're 14-0 in final, which is a ridiculous stat. Like, people didn't understand that. So you got the Copa Libertadores semifinal today. Oh man, Palmeiras is minus 245 at home. They're down 1-0, correct?
Yes, they are.
Minus 245. Man, minus 1.25 Asian handicap is basically even money. Minus one is minus 150. I don't know where you go with this. Where do you see this side? Which way?
This one's a really tough one for me because Palmeiras is the better team. Atletico PR has been playing very well though, and their defense is good. They could easily, Palmeiras could win this match, but it could be one that goes to extra time because they can't score more than one on this defense. And that's going to be a problem, I think, for Palmeiras. I'm almost thinking about what do you got? What are the lines to qualify?
So Palmeiras to go through minus 134, PR to go through plus 105. That's with perks, and then I don't even know if you can find it here. It might not be. And the other thing is too, they are just use these. They are plus 200 on the double chance, which I could definitely see this game being a draw, like a 1-1 draw or something like that. Maybe PR scores, they throw out, Palmeiras throws everything into attack, gets a goal, and maybe, falls a little bit short. I mean, plus 200 is interesting, but yeah, PR is plus 105 to advance. So it's PR is plus 700 to win the game too, and they've been really good.
There's something like I think they're the top 4 of the Brazilian league right now too. If you look at the table, I think it's like Palmeiras, Flamengo, Fluminense, and then them.
Brazil, here we go.
Oh, they're not number 4.
They're 6, but they're tied. They're 2 points out of second.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go.
I mean, they're all like Flamengo's got 44, PR's got 42. So I mean, they all basically have the same record.
Yeah. Flamengo came out of nowhere too. They just started lighting up teams and all. Haven't looked back. That's why I think I don't even need to see this match to know Flamengo's probably going to win Copa Libertadores. I think they are by far the most dominant team in Brazil right now and in the continent.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, if Palmeiras does go through, I mean, you got 1-2 in the league, maybe playing in the final, which would be interesting. When is the finals? Not until December, right?
I actually don't.
Or no, it can't be because it's before the World Cup this year. It's usually not until December.
It's got to be in November just because of what you mentioned with the World Cup. It looks like
Saturday, October 29th.
Okay, there you go. That's still, but this is like the second leg of the semifinals. You say October 29th, that's like 2 months away.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2 months is a big, like I would get 1 month, but 2, it's September 7th.
So many things can happen.
Or September 5th. It's going to end. The semifinal is going to be over September 7th. And then you're going to play the finals 2 months from now, basically on Halloween.
Yeah, with it, who knows who's healthy and
I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I still better scheduling than the MLS, but I don't know about that one.
Crazy. So are you going to back off this game?
I might. It's a trick. It's a tricky one for me.
I'd rather if I was betting. If you told me I had to put 3 bets in tomorrow with the Champions League with those 8 games that are playing tomorrow, I would probably not bet this game. I think there's better value in the other games. I think it's maybe not better value, but maybe because PR and tie is pretty good value. But I think there's maybe easier games to call. I think this is a tough game to call here.
Yeah, I think if you want to take the Copa Libertadores, you just take Flamengo to win again because they're going to, even with the 4-0 lead on aggregate, they have shown they just don't care.
Yep.
They just go out there and say, no, 4-0 is not enough. We need to win 8-0.
All right, so that's the Tuesday games here. There's I don't think there's anything tonight. Is there any? There's nothing tonight worth.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of backed off the MLS lately. It's getting wonky with the playoffs coming up. There's so many other better leagues going on too that I could put my time towards. Plus the NFL is starting, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, Chaves plays Rio Ave today at 4:15. Big battle of my team against the Eredivisie teams. Yeah,
I know there's a few games today in Italy and Spain, I think, but
there's 3 games today. Monza against Atalanta, Salernitana against Empoli, and Torino against Lecce. I haven't bet those games. I guess people bet those games, but I try not to bet those. Even in the Premier League, sometimes they say, "Oh, Crystal Palace is playing Southampton. What do you think?" I have no idea. It could be any of 600 different outcomes to me. I have no idea.
Could be 0-0, 4-2.
Those games are crazy to me. I mean, when you see the table right now, I mean,
Brighton's got a pretty good squad.
They're good, man. I'm telling you, like that.
I was on them yesterday. 5-2 win.
Oh man, what's his name? He's so bad.
I honestly expected more from Leicester this year. I know they're gonna get relegated. It's the end of their.
They're in trouble because they're having some issues with financial fair play and some of this other stuff. And like, my buddy Mike Samsel is a fan, and they just, they're in a lot of trouble. I think they're gonna have to really, their squad's not terrible. They got some good players.
They do, and I didn't understand why they're so bad.
Yeah, they're gonna have to they're going to have to get somebody, Rodgers has to go, and they're going to have to get somebody the teams at the bottom right now. There's so many teams before, Nottingham Forest, but they signed all those players. They just have to be a little bit more, not be so naive in some of these games. They pick up some points when they can, but once you got to win games. Bournemouth, is a little bit further up the table because they have 2 wins. They went for it, even though they have a minus 13 goal difference from that 9-0 loss. Fulham, same thing. 2 wins, 2 draws. They're scoring goals. You got to score goals in this league to stay in. You can't. Draws don't do it. So I think someone will come in with Leicester and they'll be okay, but that their ceiling is probably 16. They're in a lot of trouble.
I didn't think. I guess losing Kasper Schmeichel must have really.
I think the problem was not that they lost him, but the fact that they replaced him with Danny Ward. He stinks.
Yeah, and now they got guys jumping ship. Fofana just went to Chelsea, and I guarantee by the January transfer window, they already have guys that want to leave. So there's probably going to be other deals.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if they're struggling right now, these guys going to leave? Are they going to bring in reinforcements? They're in the owners with the financial fair play. They're one of those teams that lost money, so they're not going to be able to spend as much. With West Ham and City, that's why I think next year's the league going to be interesting because United's probably going to spend some more money. Hopefully they get new owners. And
that's what they really need. They have pieces there. They just need some proper management.
They just need to get new owners. If they got decent owners, they would be they'd be back at the top of
It's all front office issues with them. That's literally what it is. And I expect them to be good once they fix those front office issues. I think they have a very good team.
I'm 100% convinced that Ten Hag played those bums in the first 2 games. They got tanked. I didn't know if I don't know if they thought they were going to lose like they did, but played Maguire and these guys. Look, you take them out, Shaw and whatever. You put Malacia and Vrain and all these guys in, and Eriksson, who's been unbelievable, and all these guys that come in. Anthony scores a goal. As soon as that happened and all this stuff happened, they spent money. They spent Casemiro hasn't even played really yet. He hasn't even come into the lineup. He'll probably play Thursday, but they got Casemiro now. They got Anthony. He spent $220 million. I mean, they have good players now. There's a base. Now they got to, in the winter window, buy, maybe a player. If they're in the race here, buy a player, and then just get new owners and just bring in thing, and they'll be fine. So, you don't need to bring in you see how City is now. They bring in a couple players. They're to the point where their squad is so deep. They bring in a couple players and they sell 3 or 4, and then they're in good shape. They bring Holland and Alvarez into the team, and they're good.
They could beat half the Premier League with just their bench players.
Exactly. Yeah, they're back. Yes, their second team would finish probably top 4, top 6 maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our show. We're back and ready to go. We're going to be 11 to 12. The only Thursdays, we're going to try to figure what we're going to do Thursdays right now. Because Thursdays I tape my ESPN show, but we'll let you know. We'll let you know Tuesday, and Plus Money's going to be here a lot, so we'll be back and talking. Maybe we'll talk a little football later in the week. And
a lot of looks I like this weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got some decent games here. So opening NFL weekend. So, all right. So just make sure you're here tomorrow, same time. I know we had a decent amount of viewers today, so that was cool. Everybody's excited for us to be back. So we will see you again on tomorrow at 11 o'clock.